Welcome to Unmuted with Judge E.J. Russell. Today, I want to talk about embryos are people. We are talking about a petri dish, no life, no viability, no ability to survive on its own. But in the state of Alabama has sent shockwaves throughout the nation with a ruling that says that embryos are people. Frozen embryos created during in vitro fertilization treatments can be considered children under Alabama state law, according to its Supreme Court. Already in Alabama, the University of Alabama Medical Center has stopped any further fertilization treatments. For those families who are going through fertilization treatments, it's a wrap for right now, because if something happens to that embryo, then guess what? The people who may have caused that, whether it's an accident or intentional, or the couple just no longer wants the embryos to become viable humans. If something happens, those individuals can be charged with murder, not manslaughter, but murder. The decision issued in a pair of wrongful death cases brought by couples who had frozen embryos destroyed in an accident at a fertility clinic brought a rush of warnings from advocates who said it would have sweeping and even terrifying implications for fertility testaments. Back in 2018, to give you a little context, Alabama voters agreed to add language to the Alabama Constitution to recognize the rights of unborn children. Well, supporters at the time said it would be a declaration of voters' beliefs and would have no impact unless states gain more control over abortion access. States then gained that control of abortion access in 2022 when the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Critics at the time said the constitutional change would have broad ramifications for civil and criminal law beyond abortion access, and that it was essentially a personhood measure that would establish constitutional rights to fertilized eggs. The plaintiffs in the case had undergone IVF treatments that led to the creation of several embryos, some of which were implanted and resulted in healthy births. The couples had paid to keep other frozen in a storage facility at the Mobile Infirmary Medical Center. A patient wandered into the area and removed several embryos, dropping them on the floor and killing them, the ruling said. Now, the ruling on last Friday said the justices, citing that anti-abortion language in the Alabama Constitution, ruled that an 1872 state law allowing parents to sue over the death of a minor child applies to all unborn children, regardless of their location. Unborn children are children under the Act without exception, based on developmental stage, physical condition, or any other ancillary characteristics, Justice J. Mitchell wrote in the majority ruling. Mitchell said the court had previously ruled that fetuses killed while a woman is pregnant are covered under Alabama's wrongful death of a minor act, and nothing excludes extrauterine children from the act's coverage. Chief Justice Tom Parker issued a concurrent opinion that quoted the Bible as he discussed the meaning of the phrase, the sanctity of unborn life in the Alabama Constitution. Even before birth, all human beings bear the image of God, and their lives cannot be destroyed without effacing His glory.
Join us for the Sustainable Farming Institute Workshop Series, Saturday, March 16th from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Farmers Hands Market, located at the Jackson Medical Mall. Register at the website or scan the QR code.
Now, in a dissenting opinion, Justice Greg Cook, who, by the way, filed the only full dissent to the majority opinion, said the 1872 law did not define minor child and was being stretched from the original intent to cover frozen embryos. Moreover, there are other significant reasons to be concerned about the main opinion's holding. No court anywhere in the country has reached the conclusion the main opinion reaches, he wrote, adding the ruling almost certainly ends the creation of frozen embryos through the in vitro fertilization process. Now, some possible impacts. It was not immediately clear what impact the ruling would have on clients of existing fertility clinics, while a brief in the case filed last year by the Medical Association of the State of Alabama warned that clinics might be forced to close. The potential detrimental impact on IVF treatments in Alabama cannot be overstated. The brief went on. The increased exposure to wrongful death liability, as advocated by the appellates, would at best substantially increase the cost associated with IVF. More onerous, the increased risk of legal exposure might result in Alabama's fertility clinics shutting down and fertility specialists moving to other states to practice fertility medicine. A statement from Resolve, the National Infertility Association, warned of wide implications from the ruling. Alabama's Supreme Court ruling is a terrifying development for the 1 in 6 people impacted by infertility who need in vitro fertilization to build their families. The statement read, Resolve mourns with the couples who lost their embryos, as we know how many challenges people with infertility face when trying to build their family. Unfortunately, this anti-family ruling will likely have devastating consequences, including impacting the standard of care provided by the state's 5 fertility clinics. I also know that in Louisiana, they have put in place a pause on IVFs. Families are concerned about what they should do at this point, that their struggle, their journey to start a family has now come to a halt during this pause. And those clinics will have to reevaluate their liability, their exposure, because we are talking about a case of murder for eggs that do not have the face of God. These eggs are simple embryos. That's what the embryo is. And it does not have a face as stated by, in my opinion, the justice on the Supreme Court of Alabama. But of course, we'll be watching this case, and it will certainly end up, I'm sure, in the federal channel of judiciary, and perhaps will make its way to the Supreme Court. But an embryo as a person is a far cry from a fetus that has become living. So it is going to be interesting to watch. I'll be watching it with you, and we will bring you any updates. But for right now, IVF in the state of Alabama is on pause. I'm your host, E.J. Russell. Thank you for joining Unmuted. We'll be back.
Register for the Time to Equip Farmers Workshop, Friday, March 15th, 2024, from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m., held at the Farmers Hands Market, located at the Jackson Medical Mall. To register, scan the QR code.